The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Phixated podcast. You might be seeing a little one person extra on your screens here on YouTube. We decided to take that very handsome fella from that other podcast on this network and throw him up on screen for everybody. So we're very excited to have the good buddy Banksy with us tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of it based on the NBA trade deadline and the 76ers, and wondering a lot about what they're going to be doing in the next 7 hours, 12, something like that, 12, 13.
It's like 16.
16 hours. It's late in the day. I don't have to do math a lot. But we won't go too much longer, obviously. That is the host of our show, Mr. Mike Azzy. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, man, I am so excited. It's the crossover episode. It's the first crossover episode.
Technically the second, but you didn't have a podcast at the time.
That doesn't count.
All right. I blame that on you. That's your fault, by the way.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me. So this is the first crossover episode between Phixated and Two-Way Miss. Banksy, welcome, man.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. Appreciate me inviting myself to crash the party tonight.
Listen,
Regz,
you're
tell
always
the
welcome.
story.
Because
So
that's what happened.
Yep. So I, of course, forgot to text like earlier in the day that, oh yeah, Azzy and I had been texting a little over the weekend about trying to get a podcast in before the deadline. Usually we record Thursday night. It is now Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we said, hey, let's try and get it in before the deadline so we can talk about a lot of the trades that have been proposed, a lot of the rumors going around. And if nothing has happened, great. If something did happen, then we'll be able to talk about it a little bit earlier than usual. And so I forgot and was texting Banks throughout the day like, hey, here's what we can talk about. Here's what I think for tonight. You know, you good with all this? Then Azzy reminds me, hey, we still doing it tonight? I'm crap. Yes, we are. Like, that's a good idea. Hey, Banks, can you do tomorrow night? And he's like, you're talking NBA without me? And so I immediately text Azzy. I was like, Azzy, Banks had a good idea of him to come on the show and talk to us about this because he knows what he's talking about, even more so than I do, I'm sure. So, you know, in a half hour's time, here we are, all our friends together. The whole Birdies and Beer podcast network hosts all in one place.
Fired up for the Two-Way Miss, man. There's a lot going on. So there was no way I was being silenced tonight. I'm talking about something.
Well, and here's the thing: Banksy's an NBA expert. He's basically the Windhorst of the Birdies and Beer Network. That's who he is. He's the Brian Windhorst of the Birdies and Beer Network, but much better looking.
I'd rather him talk about it than me. That's for sure.
Banksy, we're pumped to have you, man. Thanks for coming on such short notice.
I appreciate the introduction, and yeah, let's get this rolling, baby.
Well, the other reason that I need to do this tonight is because I'm playing in a charity basketball game for my school district tomorrow. Captain Mike to the
back.
rescue. You know what that means. You guys know what that means.
Corner threes all day, baby.
All day.
You know what that means. Corner three, or I'm going to pass to the best player on the team every time. That's basically what I'm going to do. But ultimately, it means a win. So
that's right.
Just saying. A lot of intramural championships on the screen right now.
No doubt. Hey, what kind of sneakers are you rocking tomorrow? I mean, it's all about the shoes. What are we rocking tomorrow?
The KDs.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Ironically, the KDs.
Right. I'll allow it.
Dude, that's what I have. I have KDs from like 5, 6, 7 years ago that I'm still.
Mine are like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were KDs I didn't realize they were KDs at the time, but he's the only guy who had any high tops anywhere. Everyone's like putting out low tops. My old ankles can't handle that kind of stuff.
I'm a low top guy.
I know. Fairbanks has always been a low top guy.
Me and Kobe forever.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. Philly podcast.
We made it 5 minutes before he mentioned Kobe, by the way.
For anyone playing over under how many more Kobe mentions in this show.
For anyone playing the over under game, 5 minutes was the time.
I think we'll probably get at least 3 more of those before the show ends.
Easily.
Easily. So, guys, we talked before the show. This is absolutely an NBA trade deadline edition. Tomorrow, sometime between 3 and 4. We couldn't remember when the day was, and we were all too lazy to look it up. The NBA trade deadline hits, and right now there's been action, but in Philly, not a whole lot. But before we dive into the trade deadline, there's a pretty big football game being played on Sunday. I don't know if you guys are, it's kind of a big deal. I know some enjoy the commercials more than, the game itself, but I'm pretty excited about the game, and I thought we could play a little game ourselves before we dive in. So I have a list of prop bets, and we're going to do a fixate. Actually, we're going to call this a birdies and beer prop bet challenge. So we're going to work together to try it. Now, since there's 3 of us, 2 out of 3, okay, we'll decide what we vote on as a platform, and we'll see how we do after the game on Sunday. I'm assuming we're going to do just great because these are really easy to guess. So
that's good.
We're going to do just fine.
That's good.
So let's start with a classic. Coin toss. Is it going to be heads or is it going to be tails?
Tails.
What, I have to decide?
No, it's 2 out of 3 at this point, but what did you want?
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to be quick.
Tails. Tails never fails.
All right.
I
Cool.
didn't think he was going to disagree with us.
No, he always says tails. I know. All right, so who's going to win the coin toss? I'll go third this time. Who's going to win the coin toss? Bengals or Rams?
Rams.
Bengals.
I'm going to say Rams.
All right.
So Banksy and I went Rams on that one, so we're going to go that direction. Okay. Mickey Guyton's national anthem, over or under 1 minute 45 seconds. Banks, you go last this time.
All right.
Can we pause for a second? Who?
Come again?
Am I supposed to know who that is?
Mickey Guyton?
Yeah, never heard that name uttered in my entire life.
Which makes it more fun. Actually, Regz has to go last this time.
All right.
Banks, over or under minute 45?
Over.
I'm going to say under.
Over.
All right, we're going to go over.
Is that a man or a woman? I'm dead serious.
I have no idea. I don't know who Mickey Guyton is.
Hold on, I'm looking this up.
All right. Well, you have to go. I go last on, or Banksy goes last on this one. First score of the game, touchdown or a field goal / safety. So I'll say it's going to be a touchdown. Regz?
Touchdown.
Banks, sorry.
By the way, for those out there wondering, Mickey Guyton is a woman.
Okay. Will a fan run onto the field?
No.
I go last.
No.
All right. I was going to say no too, so that's fair. All right, Regz, you go last. Will a non-quarterback throw a touchdown?
I'm
going to say no. Banksy?
No.
Yeah,
Sorry,
my
Regz.
answer was going to be no as well.
Okay. All right, Banks, you're last this
I'm
time.
last.
Will either kicker hit the upright or crossbar on a field goal or point after attempt?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. Will there be a 2-point conversion attempt? So
I'm last.
Regz is last. Banksy?
Yes.
I agree.
I was going to agree also.
Okay. Will there be a penalty for roughing the passer? Remind you, quarterbacks are Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford, not Tom Brady.
Hey.
I go last.
Hey. Don't even start.
I go last.
The answer is no.
No.
I was going to say yes on that one. Okay. All right. Will there be an onside kick attempt? Banksy's last. I say yes.
No.
No.
Okay. Will either team not punt during the game?
The whole game?
Well, one team. So either the Rams don't punt,
Right.
or the Bengals
yeah.
don't punt. Regz, you go last.
Yeah, I
this
think I
time.
go last.
I'll say no. I think both teams punt.
Yeah, both teams punt.
Yeah.
Okay. Play along at home, everybody, if you're not already.
Is that a thing? Like, does that ever happen? I don't know. I don't think I
I
watched
think it
enough
happened.
football.
What game? It happened in the playoffs this time around. I forget what game it was. I think it might have been the Bills Chiefs, or no, it was Bills New England.
No
The Bills didn't
punts.
punt. They did not
No.
punt.
No
Yeah.
kidding. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Will either quarterback throw for more than 400 yards? Banks goes last on this one.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it's going to be a shootout.
I think Stafford's
it.
going to get to it. I don't think Burrow's going to do much.
Will the commentators, this one is I'm last. Will the commentators mention the Philly special?
No.
No.
There's no connection.
Banks?
No. You Philly guys, it's over. Okay, it's over.
Well,
I love
Aaron
how you say
Andrews
you
interview-
Phillies guys. You live
I
in
was
freaking
gonna
Lancaster,
I was going
Pennsylvania.
to say yes. I was going to say yes.
Wow. Okay.
But only because they find a way to fit it into like every national broadcast. Will Aaron Andrews interview Zach Taylor going into the locker room at halftime? Regz, you're last. I'll say yes.
I'll say no.
On camera or just in general?
On camera.
Oh,
It has to be seen.
no.
Okay.
I feel like they're doing a lot of those, like they just flash to them after the halftime guys. And
Yeah.
they just say, I talked to coach, such and such before they went in the tunnel or blah, blah, blah. I feel like they don't put that on TV a lot anymore.
So we got a handful more that I want to hit because I think they're pretty fun. Will there be a successful field goal over 49.5 yards? I forget where we're at, so I'll just stay
I think
silent
I'm
this
last. I'm last.
time. Okay. I'm gonna say yes. McPherson will do it.
I'll say no.
Ooh, I want to say yes just for fun.
Okay.
49.5. Is that was the number?
Yep.
Yeah. Which commercial will appear first, Lay's or Doritos? Banksy, you're last. I'll say Lay's.
Doritos.
Doritos.
Okay. How about between BMW and Mercedes? I'm last.
Ooh. Mercedes.
I'll go Mercedes as well.
I was going to say Mercedes too. That's a good one. How many songs will be performed during the halftime show? Over or under 7.5? Remember that crew that's playing.
Who's playing?
It's like Eminem, Dre, Kendrick Lamar,
Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg.
Snoop.
Snoop Loop.
I'm
Bring your
last,
hat.
so you guys go.
You're last?
Yep.
I'm saying over.
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Yeah, they're gonna jump all over the place.
They're going to be all over the place. Actually,
Um,
with it's a pretty high anticipation for that.
Yeah, that's a big
halftime
one.
show. That's big time.
Yeah. That's a lot of names. That's like our college years. All right, we're gonna do one more because I have about 6 more, but we'll do one more. Let's do the classic. What color will the Gatorade bath be? Orange or any other color? I'm
And-
last this time.
Any other. I'm taking the field.
Man. Michael Jordan always drank orange Gatorade. I'm going to go with orange.
I'm gonna go any other color. Sorry,
Nice.
Banksy.
No, it's okay.
The other ones are like who scores first, who's gonna take the first time out, who
There's
scores
like
last.
1,000 of them. Those prop bets
Yeah,
are crazy.
I'll save our audience from listening to the rest of it. I just thought it'd be a fun little activity for us to do tonight before we jump into some trade deadline talk. So before we do, we are a Philadelphia podcast, and I feel like this is an appropriate question. I opened it up before the show to this group of gentlemen. I was thinking back, there's a lot of rumors swirling about James Harden that we'll get into in a little bit. And I was talking to somebody today who said, he might be the best athlete to ever come to Philly at the trade deadline. And I was like, that's a
Best
not-
athlete
that's
ever
a
to come in.
that's a lot. There's a lot of guys who have come into this city at the trade deadline. Not all season. We're not talking like T.O., we're not talking Roy Halladay, like those guys, Bryce Harper. We're talking at the deadline, the organization thought enough of this player to go out and to get them, and they were as advertised. So I'll put it out to you guys first. I had a little list of guys that I thought were worth mentioning, but I have one that I'm like, he's the dude who made the biggest impact, at least in my head. So I'll open the floor. Who do you guys think of when I pose that question? Is somebody better than James Harden, or does that really depend on like what happens when James Harden gets here?
Yeah, I think unfortunately with James, like we don't have the benefit of knowing what's going to happen with almost with everyone else. We kind of do. Do you have one, Banks, or do you want me to go?
Banks, go for it.
Well, I mean, okay, so do you look at a Dikembe Mutombo, and it's like the weirdest,
It's a good one.
It is a good
but
one.
they got to the finals.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
They brought him in specifically to go against the bigger guys and specifically against Shaq. I mean, he poor guy didn't, Shaq in his prime.
Right.
But they brought him in specifically to help get to the finals and they did. So I don't know. I think Dikembe deserves some credit because they got to the finals.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
Okay. Regz?
I'm going to say Cliff Lee.
That's a good one. I haven't written down as a possibility.
I mean, just if you want someone to come in who's as advertised and pitch to the hype that he came into.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
Okay. I like that. I was thinking earlier about like some of the dudes who they brought in, and I tried to think of some Sixers too, that were brought in over the course of time, and some Phillies. I mean, I know someone mentioned like Eric Desjardins for the Flyers. I don't know enough about Flyers hockey to say one way or the other. But some names that kind of came into my head as I thought about, like Golden Tate. That the Eagles went and got him at the deadline. They didn't win anything with him. Jay Ajayi was a big piece of that Super Bowl run when they won it a few years back. But I don't know that I would say him either. I did write down Cliff Lee. Like he was a guy that instantly came to mind. I'll ask you guys this before I say mine, but like think about Jimmy Butler and when they brought in Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris that year. Like that was huge.
Yeah.
Those dudes were. If it's not Brett Brown and it's Doc Rivers at that point, do you think they have more of a shot to win a championship, or were they just not deep enough that year? Banksy, what do you think?
I'm not a huge Doc Rivers guy. I think some other factors played in on that team of why they didn't go further than they should. I think those two guys came in, and especially Jimmy Butler came in and did what they needed him to do. I think there were some other factors on that team that caused them to not make a strong enough push. I don't know. Brett Brown, it always seems like Doc comes in and has quick success and then fades over time. So maybe having him there with that team for that first couple months and have that group, maybe that's a fair point. I think Doc would have had a little more control over the team than what Brett Brown did.
Regsy?
Yeah, I like the other way. Was not a big Brett Brown guy. I don't know if that team does any better. With Doc coming in, I mean, Jimmy came in and did what he was asked to do, right?
Sure.
I think in general, I don't think, Embiid wasn't quite ready.
Mhm.
Simmons wasn't ready.
Mhm.
They tried to bring Jimmy in to sort of be that guy to show these younger guys what to do in playoff situations and like show them what it looks like to be a guy who's like, I want the ball at the end of games because I know I'm going to win.
Right.
So I don't know if anything goes differently.
Yeah. Just kind of crossed my mind when I was thinking of that deadline, because that's when they kind of turned it into gear and said,
Yeah.
we're going for it now. We're going to use these assets.
For it, yeah.
We're going to go get these guys. And unfortunately it didn't work out. Hindsight being 2020, and this is probably a good topic for a show eventually, is like, where did the process go wrong? And I almost wonder if it's after that season when they chose Ben over Jimmy, because it's just been sort of downhill or treading water ever since. Okay, so a couple other guys real quickly. Hunter Pence came to mind. That when they brought him over. Jamie Moyer was another one that came to mind. But I'm gonna go with the underdog. I'm gonna go with Big Joe Blanton.
I knew you were
back
going to
in
say
2008.
it. I knew it.
Big Joe Blanton, he was exactly what we were told we were getting. Like, CC Sabathia was the big dog on the market, and Pat Gillick said over and over, we don't need that. We have that. We have the guys who can go deep into games. We need the innings eater who's going to be consistent from now through the playoffs. And Joe Blanton was 100% as advertised. Not just that year, but the year after that, and even the year after that, until he got hurt and injuries caught up with him. So I'm going to say Joe Blanton. He made the biggest impact in that season when they won a title, and was even more consistent as time went on. Yeah, Cliff Lee was great and was the dominant ace that they wanted, but they didn't win a title with him. So I'm going to go the other route and say that it was Joe Blanton.
I love it. And when you hit a
We're gonna
home
go
run
with
off
Joe.
the other guy who's in that trade deadline, right? You kind of have to win, right? When you hit a home run off the guy in the world,
It wasn't all of Sabathia. It was
I
all
thought
of
it
David
was.
Price.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
It was all of
I
David
saw
Price. But
lefty
the
and I
Grand
got
Slam was
excited.
off of. Yeah, the Grand Slam was
That's
off
right.
of
Yeah.
Sabathia. That's the one you came in and almost put me through the ceiling on the other side of the house. The home run guy hit, and Regz comes barreling through the door, Banksy, and almost puts me through the ceiling. It's like, we're good. We got this. We're okay.
We weren't good. It was very exciting.
It was very exciting. Well, all right. Thanks for indulging me in that conversation. I whenever trade deadlines hit, I kind of reminisce on like Philly athletes that have come in and had an impact. And I'm sure there's a conversation around Philly athletes who have come in and just absolutely sucked, because we have plenty of those
Yeah.
too, that have come in and just not been good. So Banksy, good call at the Dikembe one though. I really like that one. So jumping to where we're at right now, the deadline is less than 24 hours away. We wanted to do this show to kind of see where we were at, see what the rumors were, where Morey was at. And guys, I got to be honest, with the players who have been traded and the teams who have dealt, you feel like his back's against the wall a little bit right now, don't you, Regz?
Hearing the Bradley Beal surgery thing isn't good. And as we start to hear, so here's, I'll kind of lay the line in the sand, I guess, for myself. I'm not interested in James Harden for all the players they're asking for. I was
Agreed.
kind of getting okay with the Simmons and Curry. I'm not throwing in the other guys. Not throwing in. I'm just not. Like James Harden, I know he's been an unbelievable player for a very long time. He is out of shape. He is uninterested. And I get it that everyone says, change of scenery, all that stuff. And I know Daryl has more knowledge about him than most. I don't need James Harden to spend the next 3 months or 2 months like getting back into shape. Because then what are you going to be in the playoffs? You're still going to be out of shape.
Yeah, and hope he shows up for the playoffs.
When he never has in his whole life.
And he is a huge defensive liability.
Yeah, they're not good on defense now. Like, I know some of the ratings are different. I heard the other day they were up maybe at 9th or 7th in defensive rating. It doesn't look that way. Like, when you watch the highlights of the games, it doesn't look great. Like, teams are scoring a lot of points. It seems to me. I know the NBA now, like teams just score 110 like it's nothing. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you keep someone to 102, it's a really good defensive night. But
I don't care for Harden coming to the Sixers. I really don't. But I feel like the longer they hang on to Simmons, the worse it's gonna get, and the the lesser amount of offers they're gonna get. Like already, I mean, Simmons for Harden should just be straight up deal. But because of the unknown with Simmons, you're having to throw other players
yeah,
into that trade. I don't like that
I think
at all.
the
Not
bigger thing is the money. Harden's going to make $50 million.
Mhm.
Like they have
Yeah.
to match the money. I think it's not so much that they want to put other people in it. It's that you have to match the
they
money.
gotta take on his contract.
Yeah.
So how do we get here? Because there have been teams pulling at Daryl Morey for months on Ben, and you know we've heard the Pelicans, we've heard the Kings, we've heard the Thunder, we've heard the Wizards. You know, all these teams have been pulling at the Sixers, and all the Pacers, all these players start to fall off. LeVert falls off, Halliburton falls off, the Blazers, McCollum falls off, Bradley Beal now getting surgery. So, you know, did Morey just hold the cards too long? We talk all the time, Regs, about he wants to win the deal. He wants to win the deal. He wants to win the deal. But Banksy, like, at what point would you have said, "All right, I'm not winning this deal. This is who I'm taking. This is what I'm going to settle for"? Because at the end of the day, like you said, the value is just going to decrease with
Just-
every passing day. So, like,
And-
where would
yeah.
you have drawn the line and said, "This is the caliber of player. This is the guy I take. This is the guy who matches what I have on the floor and can benefit us both on both sides of the court."
Yeah, when I would have gotten rid of him as soon as I could, because it wasn't a situation where okay, we don't, he wasn't playing, whether it was some mental health stuff or chemistry with the team, whatever. But there was still buzz, coming off the summer. You have these videos, pickup games. He's hitting fadeaway jumpers. He's hitting threes, whatever. Okay, he's not going to play the Sixers, but we have fresh video of him working out, looking good. Trade him. And then especially when the team started to have a little success where, okay, maybe this season isn't completely a throwaway, but yet we have this huge distraction of Ben literally sitting in the corner of our practice gym, dribbling a ball so he gets paid.
Mm-hmm.
You waited way too long
And got kicked out of practice.
and got kicked. So it's a big distraction, and the stock and the value is just going to keep going down. And for them to wait till the summer, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's going to hurt them. I think it's going to hurt them in the long run, especially now. Like they have a chance. Like they have a chance in the East. The East isn't crazy good. The Nets are always hurt and they're dysfunctional. And this Kyrie situation, he's not going to be playing home playoff games. Like Milwaukee's a couple games over 500. Like the Sixers have a chance to come out of the East. Trade him and get some pieces, especially around Joel Embiid, who's never had really a good playoff series. But now you have that guy who finally, for the first time, looks like he's in shape and playing at MVP level. Like,
yeah, I think I'm pretty upset that that Sacramento trade for Sabonis, if Heald and Halliburton were on the table for Ben Simmons, I'm pretty pissed that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Heald is still relatively young and turning into a really good shooter.
Yeah.
Halliburton is another defensive piece, like another defensive guy who, if you have the structure around it, can hopefully learn to shoot better and better. Right? You don't need these guys to come in and be scorers, right? You have those guys on the team already. Like I know we talked about it, Azzy, a couple shows ago. Like, what's the least you're willing to take, for Simmons? And if that had been out there at that time and we didn't go for it, like that's a huge miss in my opinion.
Yeah.
Bad. That's bad.
So yeah, Banksy, we've talked quite a bit about guys that we would be okay with them taking. Based off the dudes who have been traded, is there a guy that you would say, yeah, this is the dude they should have gotten? Because I feel like every name was probably on the table for Ben, and teams just finally said, all right, whatever. Like, you're not going to do it, then we're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So is there a name? Regz just said Halliburton and Healed. Is there anybody else that you would have been like, yeah, this is the guy, like, bring him over. This is perfect.
That would have been probably the best trade. I mean, I hope they're not putting their eggs in this Harden basket. Like that's frustrating, and it's not gonna work. It'll be flashy at times and be exciting at times, but long term and playoff time, that's not gonna work. I mean, a Healed and a Halibut would have been perfect. I think Tobias Harris gets dogged a lot. I think he's a really good player.
He's playing at a different level right now. He's turned it up.
Yeah, I think he's a great player, and he's a very versatile player, and he gets dogged a lot more than he should. But I mean, with the guys that were available to bring in Healed and a Halliburton to get two pieces like that back, that would have been huge. So you're right, Regz. If that was on the table and wasn't taken, that's a piss
just
poor
compare Sabonis to Simmons. Like, wouldn't you rather have Simmons?
I'm sure they wanted.
I mean,
to.
Sabonis is a good player. Don't get me wrong, right? He's been a really good player, and he's turned into a lot more than I think a lot of people saw him being when he came out of college. But if you're in a place like Sacramento, first of all, Simmons could go up there and do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares when you're up there, right? It's like the perfect situation for him and his sort of mental state at the moment. And you're getting a guy who's, how tall is Simmons? 6'9", he's bigger. 6'10".
6'10".
Yeah.
He's 6'10".
That's about as tall as Sabonis, right? It's like you're getting essentially a better version of Sabonis, maybe with not the scoring. He doesn't have the scoring skills like Sabonis. Sabonis has showed that he can put the ball in the hoop when he needs to. He's not the most prolific scorer in the world, but you get a guy who's an all NBA defensive guy, fit, probably plays really well with De'Aaron Fox, you would imagine, when those guys just get on moving down the court. I just if that was on the table, I'm really disappointed.
Guys, I think I would have been fine with like Chris LeVert even. Like I want like a creator. I want a guy who can get his own shot at the end of the game. I miss that in Jimmy Butler when we had Jimmy, because right now, like, Embiid can dominate basically tip to final 2 minutes, maybe final 30 seconds. 2 minutes, he can still dominate. But those final 30 seconds, when you need one shot, you need another guy on the court who can create, because what happens is defense just collapse on Joe. Like, they don't have the guy that can close a game aside of him. When you think about the teams who have won over the course of the last few years, there's always another dude who can close. Like, if it wasn't Giannis, it was going to be Middleton. If it's not LeBron, it's D Wade or it's Bosh. It's, there's always that other guy who can close. From our childhood, it was MJ or Pippen or Kerr. Like, there were other dudes who could make a shot. I don't know that guy's on the team right now. We've praised Seth Curry, but Seth Curry's so hesitant to shoot the ball. Like, he won't just shoot. It's guys, I got to ask you this. Has there ever been an NBA player who loves to dribble the ball out on a transition breakaway more than Seth Curry loves to dribble the ball out? He doesn't get an ovation. We're not at Duke anymore, Seth. Stop dribbling the ball out looking for applause. They want you to shoot the ball. Like,
four corners.
Yeah,
like, what
right.
are you doing? Listen, I love the guy and he's been really good for them, but he's not going to be the dude at the end of the game that's going to get that shot that they need. So, JJ wasn't afraid to take it, but he wasn't the guy either. So I don't know. That guy's not on the roster. And I think that's why they're so fixated, no pun intended, on getting James Harden in here, because he'll take the damn shot. Like, he's going to take it. And he commands the attention for it too. I also think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, we've talked about Daryl Morey quite a bit on this show. This dude does not like to leave a blemish on his resume. He doesn't like to look like he gets beat. He doesn't like to look like he loses something. He doesn't look like he got the carpet taken out from underneath him.
Yep.
And when you think back to last year, this trade was rumored. Like, it was rumored way before the deadline. And the Sixers apparently said no because they wanted Maxey in the deal. They wanted Simmons and Maxey. Well, now in my eyes, I see Morey going back. He is so dead set on getting Harden without Maxey that he's going to do anything to prove it. And I just feel like that's where we're at right now. Like, he wants that big fish that he can say, I got the guy at the deadline, the guy that most casual fans would say is the be all end all. And offensively, he's been prolific. Like, his skill set is I'm strong and I don't need to be fast to beat you because I'm smart. And I'm just a really smart basketball player who can beat you. And I don't know. That's kind of the way I've seen this whole situation play out. Banksy, I see you kind of bouncing, shaking your head. What is it? What is it that you don't?
Are you still referring to Harden as this big strong? Are you referring to Harden? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and I agree with everything you're saying. It's like, to that point, we haven't seen that Harden in like 3 years,
right?
And I don't know if that Harden's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only point that I have to that, because I agree with everything that you just said. But we have not seen that Harden in several years.
But you're going to see that casual fan that doesn't know that, because you know that, Regz knows that, I know that, most of our listeners know that. But there are Philadelphia fans who be like, "Oh my God, we got James Harden. This is unbelievable."
Yeah,
realizing
they'll be burning his jersey by July
2023.
Yeah, but no, I like, with and that's the thing we talk about. Daryl Morey not feeling like he's being beat or the rug pulled out, but you've lost Hield, you've lost the opportunity for Hield and Halliburton. You lost the opportunity for LeVert. I think LeVert would have been a great fit. He's a slasher.
Beal's gone.
Beal's gone. If LeVert can stay healthy, I know he's had some health issues recently, but if he's healthy, he's a slasher. He's a finisher. He's a create your own shot guy. Because now you're running out. Other than Harden, again, if that's really the direction they want to go in, where else you're really running out of people that I think that could come and make an impact.
Right.
Unless, and this will never happen, but it's one of those things where, like, it won't ever happen, but should it happen? Like, put a package together, send Ben out to LA. Bring LBJ back to him to Philly.
Oh my gosh.
No, but you know what though? Like, and again, I know this isn't going to happen, and I won't take too much time. But if I was LeBron,
we found the reason he wanted to come on the show, Azzy.
He said at the beginning, before we start recording, I will tell you it's got to happen.
I have two destinations for Braun. Because that guy is running out of time. Like, as amazing as he is, and as a freak. And I'm not the hugest LeBron fan, but I'll give the guy credit where credit's due. Like, the dude is playing amazing for an old man, a 37-year-old man.
Crazy.
He came into the league at 18, not 22, not 23.
Yeah.
He is an old man. If I was LeBron, I might be saying, hey, I'd be open to going somewhere where I could win a ring.
Yeah,
because it's not going to be in LA. That's for damn sure.
Philly's destination 1. What's destination 2?
Cleveland.
Oh,
we
didn't talk about them.
They're good. They're young. They are good, and they could. I don't know if they would have the only problem with Cleveland. The LA would really have to. Cleveland would really have to put a big package together,
which might take some of those young players,
which would take away
right
some of the lore of
the
going
team.
there. Yeah,
but I mean, and again, this won't happen. But a Golden State has enough. They are so deep with their bench and with young talent they could put a package together and offer something to LA to bring LeBron to Golden
Could you
State.
imagine? Oh my
like-
gosh.
I can't imagine.
But like this could be coming from LeBron. Like, and again, I don't think he will. I mean, he's got his life in LA, his son, prep school playing. It's what is. But if LeBron was like, I'm still one of the top players in the NBA. My team sucks, and we're not going to get any better. If I could go to a contender, I don't know. It's got to cross his mind a little bit.
If
Philly,
if by
Golden
4
State-
o'clock today or tomorrow, LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er, I'm driving to East Pete and hugging you immediately.
I mean, you talk about Morey pulling
Dude.
something off.
We better, if that actually happens, I'm gonna like send Bill Simmons this podcast, and like you're not gonna see a news outlet that doesn't have a clip of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, but even from LeBron's standpoint,
Yeah.
I would consider if I was LeBron, hey, send me somewhere. Send me to Golden State. Send me to Philly. Send me to Miami. I mean, they could put, but I don't know if he'll go that direction.
Well, the reason that you're saying that is the reason that we're all hanging on to every single tweet that's been put out, and it's because we're watching the absolute most dominant year of Joel Embiid's career right now. Like, this dude, you said it, Banksy, is playing at a level like he is not. He's healthier than he's ever been. He's pretty much the most dominant player in the league at this very moment. Like, he cannot be stopped. 21 straight games of 25 points or more. He's been absolutely unstoppable for more than half of this season. He has carried them from point A to point B. So the reason why you say, that's something that if I'm LeBron, I consider, is because this dude is a guy that everybody wants to play with right now. Like, this is a guy that people look at from around the league and they're saying, I want to win a title. And if I can go there and hook up with him, then I can win a title.
Yeah.
And Philly hasn't had something like that since Allen Iverson. So this is,
and
you got to strike.
Yeah, and Iverson carried that team as far as he possibly could have. I mean, they ran into prime Laker Nation in those early 2000s. They didn't have a chance. They won a game. That was awesome, but they didn't have a chance to win. So Iverson took him as far as he possibly could. This would be a legitimate shot to get Philly, because you're right, Philly needs a piece. And again, holding on to Simmons all this time and watching his value go down, I don't know if they're going to get that. I don't know if they're going to get that piece. And even if Harden does come, I don't see it. Because what happens in the playoffs is, Embiid playing at this level, playoffs come and all that attention is on Embiid more, and he needs help. And
I mean, this is where I think Morey's getting caught up in, and I don't know if I expected him to, because of how usually outside the box of a thinker he is. He doesn't usually get stuck in those sort of general NBA conceptions. I think he's getting really stuck in your team needs two superstars to win.
Yeah.
We saw Giannis carry a Milwaukee team. Like, say what you will about Chris Middleton. He is not an NBA superstar. He is not.
No.
He is a very good second player to have on your team. You have an absolute stud in Joel Embiid. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try and get another absolute stud player, right? That's not what I'm saying. But you need to be very careful about who that person is. James Harden, I don't think is that guy. Just flat out. I don't think he is that guy. So when that's the case, and like there's not a Dame Lillard, right? I would have been really happy with Bradley Beal, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Really happy with him. But Dame obviously is having his issues right now. That's not a possibility. Brad Beal is getting his surgery on his wrist. That's not a possibility. So when you get past those really true top 25-ish players in the league, like the idea of then just surrounding, when you said Banks, like that's what defenses are going to do in the playoffs. They're going to go like that. That means you need to surround this guy with guys who can pass and guys who can shoot. Right?
And who's one of the best passers of all time? LeBron James. I'm putting a lot of stock in this, and I think, and I guess I should stop.
But I'm just talking about even the Buddy Hield and Halliburton thing, right?
Yeah, but exactly. they're off the table.
I understand, but like that's where the frustration comes back. Is that if you surround him with a Seth Curry and a Hield, and then you still have Tobias who can catch and pump, and drive to the basket and do some different things. I think that's when you start surrounding your team. That's when you start looking at your team and you're like, we can go 7 or 8 deep here and still have a legitimate chance to score well and play good defense, because in the playoffs, you have to play better defense than the regular season.
Right. Now, going back, and we're going to turn into the into what's happening right now. But going back to what Banksy said, if we're looking at Ben Simmons for James Harden straight up with maybe one other asset tied to it, I think we're all sitting here saying, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Like James Harden just being available is better than Ben Simmons not ever playing, right? Like you're at least still your Maxey's still there. You still got your defense with Thibault and Danny Green. You still got Seth Curry. Andre Drummond's been a very sufficient and solid backup to Joel Embiid this year. So none of those guys are gone if that's the case. And you're really just adding James Harden because you haven't had Ben Simmons this year anyway.
Yeah.
So you're at where you're at right now without him. But this is not what's being talked about. It's not what's been on the table. And basically what's on the table right now is the Sixers would send, the Nets would send James Harden. I've seen Patty Mills' name out there. I've seen Joe Harris's name out there. In addition, some mix of that. And then I've seen Simmons, obviously, with Curry or Green, Drummond, Maxey or Thibault, the Rocky statue, Pat's and Gino's cheesesteaks, the love sign, the SEPTA subway line.
Weren't they talking about picks too? They were talking about picks too, weren't they?
Broad Street, picks, whatever.
Naming rights of Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah. And you know what? Probably there's LeBron in it. LeBron in it. Did you just make that right now?
Just made it. Yep, I just made it.
The master over there of photoshopping, Chris Fairbanks, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, I think what we're looking at right now is you've got two huge buckets. You've got the Nets looking at their scenario, which is, hey, we are not very good right now. I think that last night they lost by like 34. Right?
It was bad. Yeah, last night it was bad.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
Harden has been very vocal, at least his people have been vocal about he doesn't want to be back there next year. He doesn't want to come back. So they're up against this whole, idea from outside their organizational walls that like this dude's going to be a free agent. So he's either going to walk or they're going to have to get something for him. On the other side of the conversation are the Philadelphia 76ers who are trying to say, well, there are people in our building who want Ben Simmons to come back if we don't trade him, so we don't have to trade him. We'll keep working with him, and eventually he'll play for us again, which we all know is an absolute farce. Yeah. Like, there's no way that dude is putting on a Sixers uniform and playing at the Wells Fargo Center ever again. We know that. So you've got it is the biggest game of chicken that I've ever watched at a trade deadline. Like, two organizations who think they have the other one around the neck, and neither one does. So who blinks first, or does no one blink first? Regz, who blinks first, or does no one blink first? Is it going to be the Sixers are going to send a ton with Ben Simmons, or are the Nets going to cave and say, you know what, we'll take Ben and maybe another asset, or neither, and we're just going to be sitting here doing this tomorrow? Which one do you think happens?
So I'm hopeful that the Nets figure out that getting something for Harden is better than nothing.
Okay.
I'm hoping that they think that if this guy's going to walk anyway, we might as well try and get something back for him while we can. the deal becomes much better for me if like a Patty Mills is included. I've always been a big Patty Mills fan. That's my Spurs
Same.
bias coming out.
Yep.
And my Tim Duncan bias coming out. I've always been a fan of him. Like the dude has been in a bunch of like hard playoff games and hit some clutch shots. He's not obviously not as young as he used to be back then, but he plays hard on defense. And you know he's got the stones to, like we said, take those shots when he has to in the playoffs. So the deal gets a little bit better for me when that another piece is thrown in, but I think if anyone's going to blink, it should be the Nets, because if Harden's going to walk, you should at least try and get something for him.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Adam Moore, also loves Patty Mills. So
I'm glad I can
Adam
agree
Moore.
with Adam.
Banksy, who blinks first, or does no one blink first?
You know, the worst thing that the Sixers organization could do, I think, is not trade Ben Simmons to get something back tomorrow. If they keep him and roll it into the summer, I think that's a travesty towards the organization, because you have, for the first time in his career, in my opinion, Joel Embiid playing top-notch basketball in the best shape of his life, carrying the team, and you have an opportunity, like I said earlier, to come out of the East if you get a few more pieces. And listen, if they could get up, I mean, it is what it is. If Harden's coming, whatever. But you know, that X factor, like a Patty Mills, that'd be huge, because you're right. He's battle tested. He's a big time player. You know, when he plays in the Olympics, he carries his team. Like he's a gamer, and he's won championships, and you know, he's a hell of a player for an older seasoned vet. I think the biggest thing, regardless who blinks first, the biggest travesty to the organization would be keeping Ben Simmons and not getting anything for him tomorrow.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I guess if I'm reading you right, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you think that the Sixers should be the ones to blink first to get him off the team.
Yeah, because they're running out of options. You've pissed away a couple trades already, a couple good solid players already. Yeah, I think they should blink and get him out of the organization. Just get him out of the organization, because even though he's not around, like all the it's still a distraction.
Yeah.
Get him out of the organization, move on. He's not coming back.
Right.
The stock will continue to lower, over the summer. Blink, get rid of him, be done with it.
Yeah. All right. So that leads us to this. 4:00 rolls around tomorrow. We text each other on the group chain. Regz, is Ben Simmons still a Philadelphia 76er?
No.
Banks, is Ben Simmons still a Philadelphia 76er at 4:00 tomorrow?
He better not be. No.
I agree. I don't think there's any way. We've said a lot about Daryl Morey, but if there's one thing I think we can all agree on, it's that this dude's probably a surefire Hall of Fame executive when at the end of everything. He's done a lot with a lot of organizations, and he's the closest thing they've had to that in a long time. I think he's smart enough to know what this is doing. I think he's smart enough to know that he's wasting a year of Joel Embiid. They're not winning a title with the roster as constructed right now. And he knows that. And I know he said in the media that they're confident with the team they have. The players have said that, but no one's fooling us.
Yeah.
That we might be a pain in the butt in terms of being a sports city, but we're not dumb. And we know we're not ready for a title with the roster as constructed. So you've got a sweep here. A three opinion sweep. Ben Simmons is not a Sixer tomorrow. If he is, I sense a lot of rioting happening in the streets of Philadelphia tomorrow at 4:00. I can definitely see that. So, hey, before we go, you guys mind indulging me in a quick Phixated?
Please.
All right. So this one's a special one today. Is February 9th, which is my dad's birthday.
Big Tom.
Yeah, Big Tom. I know I'm on this episode with two guys who are very close to their father, and close all across the board. But I think one thing that the three of us would agree on is our love of sports and the teams that we love and the sports that we're obsessed with probably come most from that specific person. I know you guys golf with your fathers, your love of basketball, Banksy, your love of Michigan football. All that stuff kind of comes from pops. So, for me, I know the way I grew up was a Philadelphia sports fan, and that's because of my dad. And, he never let me put on the Dallas Cowboy coat when they were the best team, or he did allow me to put on Bull stuff growing up because of Michael Jordan. I was just too obsessed with Michael Jordan. And I think this triumvirate here would all agree on that.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
He never denied the sport that I wanted to play, supported me no matter what it was, or the sport that I didn't want to play. Came to every game, never missed one, was always standing down the right field line by himself, so he didn't have to hear my mom yelling, which I appreciate and understand entirely. But my dad's one of these quiet dudes who doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, it's loud and clear. And on his birthday, I just want to say thank you, not just for making me the obsessed sports fan that I am, because I do blame you a little bit for that, but for loving and supporting me through everything that I've ever done, and always being there to hear me bitch and complain about these teams that you groomed me to be a fan of, because you have to sit through a lot of that every single day between me and Joseph. So thank you. I love you and I appreciate you. And tonight I'm just fixated on your support of me and your push to me to be the person that I am. Whether that's good or bad, that's for everybody else to decide. So thanks, Dad, and happy birthday and many more trips around the sun to you. And thanks for everything you've done.
That's right.
Well
a wholehearted happy birthday to Big Tom.
Well said. Happy birthday.
Well, boys, again, a podcast that was put together sort of at the last minute, but a good one nonetheless.
Phenomenal one.
A great talk about the NBA trade deadline. We, of course, who knows? We might be back for like a quick 20-minute tomorrow night, depending on what happens. We might get Azzy to come on to, jump on Discord again to record a quick 20-minute pod, depending on what happens.
We'll be figuring out season ticket packages when LeBron rolls to town. That's what we'll be figuring.
And if that happens, you're definitely going to hear from us, because I am putting something up if LeBron James comes to Philadelphia. But
look for the live stream for the basketball game tomorrow night. I'll post a warm-up video for you guys to critique.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. We'll post a live stream on the Phixated.
Yeah.
Yep, on the Phixated Twitter page.
Phixated Facebook page too.
Yes, plug it.
The new Phixated fan page. You can find it on Facebook. If you're not sure how to get into it, let me know. I'll send you an invite. But a lot of good conversation happening on there already about the trade deadline and the Sixers and all sorts of stuff. So get involved on it, get talking. There's some good conversations happening on there, and looking to grow that community and make it a place where people can go and just complain about Philly sports, because that's all I do. So
yeah, reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube comments. Just go search Birdies and Beer Podcast on YouTube. You'll find a whole Phixated playlist along with the Two-Way Miss playlist. Got to plug it while Banksy's here. So be sure to check that out. Be sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, Banksy, for joining us tonight. It was a blast, buddy. Thank you, as always, to Azzy for being the wonderful host of this show, and we will catch everybody on the next episode. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Banksy. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Swing hard, everyone.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.